Welcome back to the continuation of Serani Sembang on July the 4th, the American Day of Independence. And in line with the theme of our show, we are talking to various Serani folk who have connections to America, the land of the free and the brave. The person whom I'm going to invite to join me shortly is perhaps our first ever American-born Serani. She can trace her lineage back to Francis Light and Martina Rozells. And she was actually brought into Serani Sembang through various other members. I think she might have actually come through Avril Pascual, the late, great Avril Pascual, who was such an instrumental member in ensuring the growth of Serani Sembang in the early days. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, creatures great, big and small, please welcome Margy Keller Day. Hi, Margy. How are you?
Great. Hi, Vernon.
Hi. Okay, you're staggering a little bit, but it'll be fine. I mean, like, we're bringing you in from halfway around the world, so you know. And what time is it over there? If it's 6 p.m. here, it'll be 3 a.m. over there, right? I believe so.
Yes, it would be 3 a.m.
Yeah, but of course we're doing a pre-recorded segment, so viewers can't blame me for keeping you up past your bedtime, right?
That's right.
Okay, staggering a little bit, yeah, but not to worry, we will soldier on. Okay, I mentioned briefly that you are American-born and that you have links to Francis Light and Martina Rozells. Can you please share with us what the connection is and what you've traced?
So my mother was born in Malaysia. Her name was Margaret Bain, daughter of Vivian Bain. His grandmother was Francis Light too, married to Victoria Light. And had a story, and she had this little tiny tree drawn up on an index card that showed her lineage back to Francis Light, and I was always intrigued about that.
Who was this again?
She married an American.
This was your mother who had her family tree on an index card.
Yes, and it was very, very basic. It just showed the generations. And of course, I went about trying to document it and put it in a tree format. And probably in the 90s, I started working on it. But and I found the research very difficult.
So you mentioned that you started an interest in your genealogy in the 90s.
Yes.
And it was through having found this index card that your mother had.
Yes, she had already passed away.
Oh, okay. And you were related to people in Malaysia. I mean, you knew that because your mom was Malayan, right?
Right.
But she came to America via England. Is that correct?
Yes. Her family left Malaya in 1950 and immigrated to England. Yeah. And on that ship going from Malaya to England, she met my father, who was an American jazz musician. And they corresponded for a couple of years. And then he asked her to come out and marry him, which I thought was a very brave thing for a 20-year-old girl to do. I can't imagine. Yes. So she became a 1950s American housewife.
Okay. Wonderful. And this was in which part of America?
Actually, Florida. My father's family was in Florida. Yeah.
Okay. And so were you born in Florida?
No, actually, I was born in Panama, which was where my father was stationed in the United States Air Force.
Ah,
And
okay.
so she really flew to Panama. And then as soon as he was discharged, they moved to Florida. So I have no memories of Panama. I was 2 years old when they left.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And this whole idea that you might be, well, you are related to Francis Light. When did
Right.
that kind of hit you? At which age, and what was the feeling? Did you know who Francis Light was and stuff like that?
I had no idea.
Hmm.
My mother told stories. She would say, "Oh, he was the founder of Penang," and I would say, "Okay." And then she would talk about sort of I don't know if there is a rivalry, but the comparison of Singapore to Penang. She
Right.
goes,
Yeah.
"Everybody's heard of Raffles, but few
Yeah.
people have heard of Francis Light."
Yeah. Singapore has been much better with their marketing.
Yes,
Okay, and so she used to say that kind of stuff to you,
she
and
did.
you, and did you go and do your own research about who Francis Light was, and what was the sense of it?
So this was, early days of the internet, really. And I did go online and found some stuff.
Hmm.
Didn't find a lot. I found some books. I
Hmm.
found Claude's favorite, his well-known book about the story of Francis Light. But I had an awareness of Malaya, and of course, I have cousins. Part of the family immigrated to Australia, so I have
Uh-huh.
cousins in Australia, and
These are the
so
Baines.
the Baines, yes,
Yep. Okay. Yep.
the Baines kind of. So I have Bain cousins in England and in Australia.
How is it spelled? Bains or Beins?
There's no S. It's Bain,
Okay, Bain.
and
Okay.
yeah, and a huge goal for me was to trace the actual who is the Bain,
Right.
that came to Singapore and fathered this lineage and then went back to Scotland.
So you did find out about this
Yes,
lineage.
yes,
Okay.
and my
Wonderful.
DNA has proven it out, which was
Okay.
fascinating. I have distant cousins in the Shetland Islands of Scotland.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very cool. I learned about that from a book um, that was Early Impressions of Malaya, written
Hmm.
by a European, and they talked about the Bain brothers who were in
Okay.
Singapore, merchants, and
Hmm.
what an interesting coincidence it was that there was so many Shetlanders that had gone, to the Far East, or to,
Wow. Okay.
yeah, and there was someone named Johnson, and then the Anguses. Um, so I went, aha, and I just started, looking at the census of Shetland, and I sort of pieced it together. But the real confirmation was when my DNA came back and I had cousins in Shetland.
What else?
It,
What other DNA do you have? I mean, like, what did any kind of like Asian side? I mean, because your
oh,
foremother
yes,
would have been Martina Rozells. So, what
yes,
Asian stuff might have appeared?
certainly. My gosh, is it I have a great grandmother who is
Hmm.
full Chinese.
Right.
I have another great grandmother that's full Burmese.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
Great grandmother. Okay.
and
Hmm.
then the other great grandparents are Eurasian,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it goes Eurasian, all the way back to Francis Light.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so my DNA, it's an interesting DNA profile. I did it on Ancestry, and it shows, a huge chunk of Scotland and Ireland, but then Chinese,
Hmm.
Thai, um,
Burmese.
gosh, I'm blanking what else. Yeah, but
Indian? Any Indian?
yeah, South Indian as well.
Okay. What about like the other side of the Malayan Peninsula, like any kind of like Filipino or Indonesian?
A little bit of Filipino.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, right, right. No, I wanted to ask, as an American, right? I
Mhm.
assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you pass as white.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
There are
And
people that say they have no idea that I have Asian
okay,
heritage.
right, right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
how does it feel that do you feel you connect to the Asian side? I mean, like, is there some level of like identification or empathy, or where is that at, if I may ask?
Sure. Um, Actually, it's interesting because when I was a child, I looked a lot more Asian. And in the
Okay.
summer, when I get a tan, I get very dark. And I remember, this is sort of a negative memory, but I was probably 6 or 7 years old, walking around the block with my sister and brother. My sister and brother look very white. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sort of the odd one out in my family. Um, some kids started taunting me and calling me, Chinese. And I
Right.
was taken aback, like, what? In fact,
Mm-hmm.
they called me chink. He says, you're a chink. And,
Wow. Okay.
being
Wow.
very
Yeah.
negative,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And I was sort of upset and didn't think of myself
Mm-hmm.
as being different, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But so I have that awareness, very
Mm-hmm.
much. And yeah, you see me next to my sister and brother, and you don't think I'm related. They
Right.
have
Yeah.
light, sandy brown hair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My father had blue eyes and, light hair. So
Right.
I came out looking like my mother.
Okay. Did your mother look
Yeah.
Asian? Did she look very
Oh,
mixed?
yes. Although it's funny because she, well, she wouldn't pass as white.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, but when I look at pictures, she's a very
Mm-hmm.
light Eurasian, you
Okay.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's an exotic quality to her.
Yes. Well, and so here's
Okay.
the other thing. In the United
Mm-hmm.
States, my
Yeah.
mother had a very nice British accent, and she
Okay.
spoke so properly, and that set her apart. People
Right.
would,
Yeah.
when they'd meet her, they heard that my father had married an Asian woman,
Right.
and
Oh,
they'd
that's
meet
what they
her
heard.
and
Okay. Yep. Yep.
yeah, they'd be so
Okay.
surprised when she
Mm-hmm.
started speaking, and they'd say, "Oh, you speak English so well."
I get that all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and is it because of this experience when you were growing up that made you very curious about exploring your Asian roots, your matrilineal
I
ancestry
think
in
so.
Asia?
I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah, because I knew I was different,
right. Yeah,
in some
yeah.
way. And maybe there was a kind of a longing too, because my father was an only child, so we had no cousins on his
Mm-hmm.
side, and
Mm-hmm.
all my cousins were across the ocean. So we didn't really
Okay.
have family.
Okay.
So there was
Ha-
this yearning to find these people.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Really. I mean, like that's kind of like how shall I say? It's very moving to hear that. Yeah. When I would believe it was Avril who might have made contact with you first.
Yes.
So when she made contact with you, what was the feeling? What was the sense of that?
Oh, I was really excited. And
Okay.
because the whole, the Malaysia Francis Light thing was sort of theoretical, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
here were my people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was my impression of joining Serani Sembang was,
Okay.
oh my, look at all these people. And they're like me.
You actually felt a sense of sameness with these people right
Yes.
across the other side of the world. Wow. Okay.
Well,
Wonderful.
because my mother she would tell stories, and
Okay.
she was very nostalgic. She would cook the food. She made curry puffs. She,
Ah.
yeah, I've learned how to make them, and I've taught my daughter, and I've taught my granddaughter.
Oh,
So I'm passing
beautiful.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
but to see. the foods, the same foods, and it's just really nice.
Oh, lovely. But you've never been to Malaysia?
No, I had a trip
Not
all
yet, right?
planned. Not yet. I had a trip all planned out for October 2001.
Oh,
And when
okay.
9/11 happened, canceled the trip
Okay. Okay.
and got busy with work, and
Hmm.
it hasn't happened yet.
Okay. What is your line of work, may I ask?
So I worked in information technology in biotech. So I worked
Okay.
for biotech companies here in San Diego, and I was doing software development and managing
Okay.
projects. Yeah.
Right.
Uh, when 2008 hit, I was
Yep.
laid off twice from two different
Hmm.
biotechs within a period of 9 months.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the last corporate work I did.
Okay.
So I lived off of severance pay for a few years.
Hmm.
And then fortunately, my neighbor up the street wanted someone to help do his books. He was a contractor.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I've just been working as a bookkeeper, but I
Okay.
just
Lovely.
retired in January.
In January. Oh, well, happy
Yeah,
retirement. And
thank you.
hopefully, in your retirement years, we'll see you over in Malaysia and have a
I know.
real big Serani Sembang welcome for you. All right. Because it goes back to, I think, 2003, I think, when you joined. So you would have been a
Yes.
member from the very early days.
Yes.
I remember you coming on board, and it was
Mhm.
just so fun to know that, we had Serani people way across the other side of the world who
Yes.
actually were born there and still felt connected in some way. And I thought that
Mhm.
was quite special.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I also want to ask you, I mean, like, since it's our 4th of July
Yes.
show, and the theme is America through Serani eyes.
Mhm.
How are you feeling about America, where it's at, and your hopes for where it might go?
Well, I tell you, these last few years, I've felt very embarrassed to be an American,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
unhappy. You know,
Mm-hmm.
in 2016, there was a lot of us that just felt bereft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Threatened to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm
Well, we'll always
hoping.
have you. If you want to leave, we'll always have you, Margy.
Thank you. I have hopes for the future for the young people. I
Mm-hmm.
think I am so impressed with my grandchildren. I mean, I'm biased, but my oldest grandson is in college,
Right.
and my second grandson just graduated high school and is also going off to college. But the where they're, of course, they were raised in the Bay Area, so
Mm-hmm.
raised very liberal and have lived,
Okay.
a very liberal, privileged life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my daughter has raised them with this incredible awareness of, respect for diversity and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
and honoring the environment and
Mm-hmm.
honoring people's rights. And
Right.
so, I mean, we have to hope, right?
Got to think positive
You know,
and
exactly.
affect changes in small ways where
Yeah,
you are capable of doing your part. Right. Yeah.
right.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Is there anything you'd like to say? It is our 20th anniversary. We celebrated it, well, in a sense, by launching this webcast
right.
2 weeks ago on the 20th of June 2020. Is there anything you'd like to say to the members of Serani Sembang, to the Serani community out there, to the world at large? You know.
Oh boy, I'm going to speak to the world now. Well, I just want to say congratulations. I mean,
Thank you.
it's been a wonderful endeavor, and I'm so pleased to have been a part of it.
Oh,
Not so much recently. I haven't been super involved, but I'm spending a lot of time puttering in the garden right now, and not so much at
summer.
my computer. Yeah, it's summer here.
I want to ask you. You're in San Diego. I have my maternal cousins in San Diego, so I'm just wondering whether you might have at some point in time Sembang, Serani Sembang with them. The surname is Area, Aeria. No,
I have
yes, no.
no. I mean, I know the name. I know the name from Serani Sembang.
Sembang,
San
yeah.
Diego. San Diego has 3 million people.
Yes, it's huge. It's huge. Okay, well, soon enough, I'll connect you guys and we'll see what happens.
Yes, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any last words? Any last words?
Well, just thank you for having me. This has
Oh,
been
beautiful
really
to have
fun.
you. Yes,
I
yes, it has.
appreciate it.
And we'll have you back again at some point in time to perhaps maybe share about your family history, the
Yes.
stories that your mom told you. We could just
Yes.
talk a little bit about that. Yeah? Okay,
That'd
wonderful. Have a happy July 4th. Go easy on the fireworks. And enjoy the hot dogs. I guess that's what Americans do, right?
I'm planning on a hot dog. Yes.
Okay, lovely. God bless, Margy. Wonderful to have
Yes.
you and see you and speak with you. The first time
Yes.
that we're doing this.
Thank you
Yeah?
so much.
Right?
I know. First time hearing your voice. It's
Yeah.
great.
Lovely, lovely. Take care.
Stay
All
well.
best.
Bye-bye.
Bye.